Well, Brent, how do you do that if the house isn't that great? I mean, let's face it, not every house is equal. And sometimes sellers know that they haven't put their house in the ideal condition. I mean, there's reasons to sell a house like that. What about that when the story that the house is telling is a harder story to market?
Yeah. So, I mean, every home does have selling features. Every home, even if it's the oldest, most historic home that probably is going to be a tear down, it probably has original hardwood floors and a fireplace and other great things we can point out. And maybe the story shifts from what the home is to where the location is, what the neighborhood is, what livability you're going to get out of this. And so everything is a little bit different, but you can always find something that is going to make that home, that particular buyer's dream home.
You're browsing Zillow. Have you ever wondered where the descriptions come from on all those houses that are for sale? Well, you're about to find out. Welcome to the Landis Look, where we take an inside look at the world of real estate. And today we are going to take an inside look at how descriptions are written for listings. And today I'm here with Bryan. Bryan, welcome to the Landis Look. How's it going today?
Hey, Justin, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
So, Bryan, how many listing descriptions do you think you have written in your career?
Well, it's been a couple of hundred. I've been in real estate for about 5 years. So 500, 600, 100 a year.
500 or 600 listing descriptions. That is a lot of houses to write about. How do you do it? Is there a methodology to it now that you've done it so much, or is every single house different?
Yeah. So, I mean, once you do it a couple hundred times, it kind of sets in, the buzzwords that you're looking for, what you want to point out, the features in a home that are the selling features, the things that people are looking for. And so after you do it a couple of times, you kick in, you want to say the fireplace, the hardwood floors, the window features, whatever you want to point out. And then also bring in neighborhood features. You're not just highlighting a home, you're also highlighting the area that the new buyers are going to be living in.
Yeah. So you've got to hit on a lot of things. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but here in Georgia, there is a set amount of characters, right? So you can't write 5 pages about the house. You've got to figure out what's most important and what you actually want to highlight. How do you determine those buzzwords and what you put in that small space?
Yeah, so we're actually a little fortunate. In the last year or so, they've upped the character count. So we do have a little bit more wiggle room. In recent years, you may have noticed the shift on Zillow and other sites. Yeah. There used to be a lot of abbreviations. You'd see the W/ or the SS for stainless steel appliances. And we're seeing a lot of that going away, and we're seeing kind of a rise in new marketing with listing descriptions. We're seeing people go into a lot more detail with stuff that you might not necessarily see in the photos, and pointing out stuff that is important to the listing that might not otherwise fit elsewhere. So picking up on those different features and what's really important, plugging those in, and then being as impactful as you can with the space that you have. That's the job of it.
Yeah. And the photos, you bring up a good point. Those are also hugely important because, let's face it, most people are probably looking at the pictures before they read the description. How do you decide, hey, what order do we put these pictures in? What am I going to show? Are these pictures good enough? Do we need to have them retaken, touched up? What's the methodology on the pictures?
Yeah, so the first picture, we always want to do a head-on shot of the home. This is our attention grabber. This is what we want to show. And we always try to give it either a bright blue sky in the background, and we do edit that sometimes. If it's a rainy, cloudy day, real estate's got to go on. So we'll photograph it and we'll fix it in post. But we always start with that nice, pretty exterior. And then we are in the digital age. So people are scrolling through Zillow, they're scrolling on their phones. They're not always going through a full 40 or 50 photo set. So what we do is in the very first 5 photos, we put the very best features of the home. So we're going to put the family room, the kitchen, the master bathroom, whatever it is that is unique and highly sellable and favorable about this home. We're going to put it right there at the beginning so that when people are clicking on a million homes down the page of Zillow, ours is going to stand out and hopefully grab their attention. And then we'll go through a walkthrough of the home after those first 5.
Man, Bryan, I love that. Even personally looking at homes, it is really frustrating to have to click a lot of pictures to not get to the meat of the home. And from the seller's standpoint, of course, the things that are the best about the house, you want the most people to see, and you don't want people to get tired of clicking before they ever even get to the best feature of the house. I love that. That seems super smart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't want to make it hard for buyers, right? We want to make it easy for them. We want them to be excited about the house. So we do all we can to just put a great package forward, make it easy for people who are maybe scrolling through hundreds of homes on Zillow, just to be able to quickly identify and attach to a home and hopefully fall in love with it.
Yeah. And so when you have a great house that really is just absolutely amazing, what are things you can do either on the description or pictures to make it stand out to be just a little bit different from the other houses that are out there?
Yeah, one thing I always say is it can look amazing in photos, but we always want to match the showing experience to what we are seeing in photos. So we definitely want to get, we have a visual consultation expert. We call her Mari. And so Mari will come in and she'll like get the home stage, get it looking great. And then we'll take photos after that. Then from that, I can pull all of the best selling features, put that in the listing description, really highlight the home. And so every step of the way, we are trying to maximize what we're doing with our marketing.
Man, Bryan, it is frustrating to go in a house and you saw the pictures and you're like, this is not representative of the house. I mean, people are frustrated when that happens. They feel like they've had their time wasted, something's been hidden from them. So, I mean, matching the house, it is a better experience for the buyer. And from the seller's standpoint, it ensures that they're more likely to get offers from the people who come because they know what they're going to expect.
And that also comes back to the listing description, right? Every home has a story to tell, but they might not all necessarily be Pulitzer Prize winners. But we are going to tell the story and we're going to tell the best story that we can. But ultimately, we do need to match what we say in the description to what the home actually is. We want to match those expectations. We want people to fall in love with what the home really is. And then we want to get it to closing.
Well, Brent, how do you do that if the house isn't that great? I mean, let's face it, not every house is equal. And sometimes sellers know that they haven't put their house in the ideal condition. I mean, there's reasons to sell a house like that. What about that when the story that the house is telling is a harder story to market?
Yeah. So, I mean, every home does have selling features. Every home, even if it's the oldest, most historic home that probably is going to be a tear down, it probably has original hardwood floors and a fireplace and other great things we can point out. And maybe the story shifts from what the home is to where the location is, what the neighborhood is, what livability you're going to get out of this. And so everything is a little bit different, but you can always find something that is going to make that home, that particular buyer's dream home.
Yeah. Bryan, to wrap this up, do you have any listing description or picture pet peeves? Anything out there? I mean, just from a funny standpoint that you see other people do that just drives you crazy? Is there anything like that?
My gosh, so many. If you don't know how to use a comma, don't. You keep your sentences short and effective. We don't need unnecessary punctuation. We use capitalization as an attention grabber. So if I have something that I really want you to know, I'll capitalize it. Every word does not need to be capitalized. So we play around with that a little bit. And then there's also a couple of terms, like the word charming. We all know charming is code for small. And so what we want to say instead of charming is maybe we want to point out the character of the home or the millwork details or the trim work or stained glass features, anything like that. So I think lazy writing and bad writing are probably what are my pet peeves.
Man. Well, Bryan, anyone listening to this, I mean, you can see the professionalism that Bryan approaches these listing descriptions and pictures. And I mean, just his absolute expertise at it. And Bryan, I'm thankful for you to share that today. I know all the clients you've helped are thankful that you have helped them sell their house for top dollar. And anyone out there, if you're curious about, hey, what would a listing description be like on your home? Bryan would love to write it for you.
I really
would. So send us a message, put a comment in here. We would be happy to help you. And Bryan, thanks for sharing this knowledge today. Really is a cool inside look at how listing descriptions and pictures are done.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. We'll see you all next week.